throw the bus.
Tuesday night, Jamie and myself are appearing in Plymouth. What is it? It's the Democratic, it's the Progressive Caucus, I think of it. Is it?
Something like that.
Jamie, what's the platform there, and what should people be expecting from what you're going to say, and what things I'm going to copy about?
Here's my status right now, and I don't know exactly. I think we'll probably say very similar stuff, regardless. But they asked me they asked Jeff, as am I legalized? Jeff couldn't do it, so then I was asked. So I was lined up as am I legalized, and then they wanted to have a dispensary owner there, and they tried to request a dispensary owner there, and I got a hold of them, and I said, I can cover that ground, or I can help bring somebody new in here. And if I cover that ground, then like Sam or somebody else could take the MI legalized spot. And that was a really good idea. Thank you. And but no further confirmation as to what the configuration is actually going to be or what my role is going to be. But I'm sure there'll be a lot of crossover discussion regardless. And so legalization, I think they obviously want to talk about somebody who's working within like the new industry and within the emergency rules and that kind of stuff, I'm assuming, by the fact that they wanted a dispensary owner. And then obviously the legal aspect, which I think will probably be the bigger part of it.
It's not a crowd. It's not a crowd that necessarily needs to be convinced. They're more interested in information. Am I right about that? Convinced necessarily about the benefits.
That's been the case for most of the. Yeah, that's been the case for most of the times when I've had a discussion in front of groups like that. One time at that Northern Oakland County Republican Club, there was a doctor there who was, using the argument that's one more bad thing on top of all these other things, and then when you mix them together, and all this kind of stuff. That was like the only time out of all of these meetings all over the state in the last few months that I've ever really heard anybody squawk off about it negatively, and that wasn't even really that big of a deal.
People know.
Peter Zoe's got a hold of that guy for us, and he did a good job.
People know what's coming, and they're
Peter Trost, yay!
I mean, look at Pat Miles. He knew it. He knew it's coming, and he knew that train was going to run his ass over.
Get on some guy.
Oh my God! It looks so weird that he just all of a sudden was "Oh yeah, I'm totally into legalization now."
Let's talk about that.
Just the ear, Jamie. Just the ear.
I have that announcement here. Let me read it to the listener so we can comment properly. It starts by saying, after careful consideration and dialogue with activists and voters across the state, I've decided to take a stronger stance on marijuana legalization. Let me interpret, if I may. Every single public speaking event I go to, I am harassed and trolled and stalked by medical cannabis and cannabis advocates, and they are kicking my ass, says Pat Miles, and I don't know what to do. They obviously saw my previous statements about the corner of an ear of a gummy bear, how the marijuana today is not your Woodstock marijuana, and how we should wait until the federal government decides what to do before the states act. And I've taken that position, but obviously I can no longer sustain that because every time I go into public, I'm humiliated.
They're shouting me down.
Shout me down. Some nice couple out in Oakland County somewhere.
Why don't we play that?
Calls me a know-nothing idiot.
Why don't we play that clip? Let everybody hear exactly how these fundraisers are going.
Who
for
started this
Patrick
with
Miles.
this anyway?
You know what? I wasn't a big fan of that whole that clip at the fundraiser thing. I mean, I'm happy he got a little shit maybe, but that wasn't as professionally or strategically as executed as it could have been.
No, but it shows what the general sentiment is.
Yeah, it just happened. People just chime in as they do on social media. But it just happens that everybody is chiming in negatively, and it's quite amusing.
Do you know what, though? I will say this.
I'm not against Miles getting a barrage somewhere. I just think, politically, something like that could be effective. If all it was a natural response to something, fine. It seemed like...
Let me tell you why
it was not
strategic, but it didn't get pulled off that well.
Why? Listen, I understand, Jamie, what you're saying, because these kind of things can seem disingenuous. You've got like a loudmouth, kind of rabble-rouser. But I think it's important in the timeline of his transformation, as he claims he has, and as he discusses how all of a sudden, for the first time, many leaders on both sides of the aisle recognize that the war on drugs has failed. He didn't say that before. He's a contributor to the war on drugs, and the classification of marijuana drug is ridiculous. He didn't say that before. He wanted the federal government to decide. But what's significant about that particular event is that he had said in the past that he never prosecute any medical marijuana patients, right? Yeah. When I heard him lie about that, I said, you know what you should really say instead of lying? Is you should say, at the time, the Obama policy was as such. And that case was brought to us, and they were outside, and these are the reasons why. If I had the chance to do it again today, I wouldn't have done it. And I feel, that's what he should have said.
You should have owned it.
That's what happened before. So in this clip at this house, some woman confronts him, and he says, the Obama policy, blah, blah, blah. Play it. You remember that? That's an evolved position. Like he either is listening to Planet Green Trees and heard me say that, or he's realized he cannot get out of the fact that he did prosecute people that were in compliance with state law, but the Obama policy authorized him to do that, and he did it for those reasons, blaming Obama instead of himself. That would have been a better play, but he's already on record saying he never did it, and that's the problem that I have. That he did it and didn't recognize that he'd done it, and that he's going to get caught. Everybody thinks he can lie about it, and wants to be the Attorney General, and only because he knows he can't win unless he takes a different stance. That's what this message says. It says, I'm getting my ass kicked, and all I got to do is try to talk nice about marijuana, and they'll vote for me. I missed the boat here. No. Too late. Your lack of evolution in a timely, reasonable way discounts you as being a viable candidate. And your plea to the voters in the community of cannabis consumers and medical cannabis consumers is way late. Way late.
And here, this is just how late it is. Let's see what happens here.
I have a question.
Yes.
Will you apologize to the Oakland 7, the 7 people from Oakland, Michigan, that you sent to federal prison for medical marijuana?
The Obama administration policy, which is one I followed, which is if you're in compliance with state law.
Your job was to use your discretion to determine whether to try them on state level or federal level. You chose to try them on federal level and send them to federal prison. I saw the director question. Pat Miles right now.
I appreciate your interest. I'm going to ask somebody else. You can leave. Thank you. Prosecutor Mackey, I'd like to call on you, please.
Oh, yeah, go to the jump to the prosecutor.
Brian Mackey?
No, you're...
Washtenaw County prosecutor?
Yeah.
All right, so let's talk about what just happened there. Did you hear him say he relied on blaming the Obama policy, whereas before he said he never did it? Remember, we know that. So that to me was the only... Jamie, I know what you're saying. It's kind of like... And she didn't even let him finish.
Well,
I was blaming the Obama policy even a rational excuse.
Well, it's different. Well, because I'm saying that. I'm saying that. Look, at the time the Obama policy. I'm not saying that it is, but it would be a better excuse than saying it never happened, which he's on record for saying in the past. That's what I'm saying. This is a confirmation
that he lied.
That he knows he lied. He knows he was caught lying. And like I told him he should have said the first time, he's now using it as an excuse that the Obama policy at the time allowed for it, which we would disagree that it was that. It's still he had discretion. But, you know what I mean? Like, Steve, go ahead.
Barbara McQuaid used her discretion differently.
Correct. And I think it's important to point out that this was a missed opportunity from this young advocate asking the questions, because if you're going to raise these kinds of questions, you have to let the gentleman speak. You have to come prepared with facts and be able to, you could have turned this guy inside out. I would have turned this guy inside out really easily without over-talking people and being asked to leave. I believe all of that's discredited because of that girl's behavior. She was asked to leave. If you didn't hear that, they're like, you can go. I mean, if you're going to advocate for these kinds of things, and people are worked up, I understand it's really emotional. I was in that courtroom. I watched our friends go to prison. But you have to keep it together. If you're going to be an advocate and you're going to try to help people, you have to keep it together when you go and present and talk like that. That's all I wanted to say.
Now, when I questioned him at the Anchor Bar, when he was starting to go do his Q&As with Pat Miles, and the case I questioned him about, I believe, is the same case, right?
Yes.
And he flat out said that night that they were not in compliance with the Medical Marijuana Act.
So the reason that doesn't pass the sniff test is because if they were not in compliance, there would have been no harm in allowing them to present their defense in state court.
He suppressed their evidence. He moved to suppress their evidence so that he could force them to plea bargain. So any argument that he has that they were out of compliance, he could have easily brought that to a jury and they would have determined it. or a judge even.
But they
he
weren't out
didn't
of
do that.
compliance.
He moved to suppress their evidence, all the evidence of the Medical Marijuana Act. So he really has no good excuse for that.
And they went above and beyond that because they grew medical marijuana exactly like the local fire chief and the township police chief told them to. They went through a lengthy process, like the Shaddocks, where you go through a process, you get certified, you do everything legally, and then these guys come in.
They did everything right, and that is why they were in federal court.
And the local cops didn't assist on that
Of
raid.
course
They
they
sat
didn't.
down at the local coffee shop and said, hell no, we're not coming to help you.
I mean,
That was early on. That was...
I was thinking the other day,
2010.
there's people in this criminal justice system that have made their careers off marijuana.
Yes. Yeah.
Bill Schuette has been the
Yes.
last 8 years as Attorney General has been hyper focused on marijuana enforcement and forfeitures alone.
Henry Anslinger.
Yeah.
And
But who supports
all the other I'm sorry.
Lots of people in between.
What are you saying, Jamie Lowe? What are you saying?
Hey,
Michigan, yeah,
I don't want to give too much of a pass on McQuaid, by the way. It's not like she's an angel. First of all, she has endorsed this fucking piece of shit who we're talking about.
Yeah, she
Who
has.
sent our friend to prison. And secondly, it's not like she didn't prosecute people. The Duvall family was in her district.
Yeah, but Barbara
Their
McQuaid
story
isn't running for Attorney General. I mean, that's the difference.
People were saying that she wouldn't do that. I just heard people there on the show saying, well, she wouldn't do this kind of stuff or whatever. I'm just saying she's not like completely an angel. Much better than this stuff.
Right.
And other people maybe, but she's not like totally clean.
Dead air.
Wow.
Yeah. What else we got?
Where'd that ball go?
Where are you at tonight, Jamie?
I'm in Northville tonight. I'm actually on Chubb with 2 B's.
All right.
Chubb.
On the Chubb.
On the Chubb.
In Northville, on Chubb.
Well, that's good. Well, I think it goes without saying that even with his epiphany, I don't believe we will be supporting Mr. Miles for Attorney General.
No,
it's so cool that the MEA endorsed Dana.
Very cool.
Very cool.
Yes.
That pipe fitters union or whatever it was endorsed him like in December or something. He just announced it now, to try to like look as though there's some momentum going on with his candidacy. But that MEA endorsement was huge.
Yeah.
No, Dana Nessel.
Who's been to the convention before, and if they have, why don't they explain to us what we should expect?
Arrive by noon, vote at 2:30. Arrive no later than noon.
Oh, so we could take the bus a little later.
No.
You don't want to do that.
No.
There's activities and caucuses and yeah.
Yeah, and Deb and I will be in the downtown area early.
We're going to be
and
organizing.
there will be
some things.
shenanigans.
There is
I
things
assure
going
you,
on.
there will be shenanigans.
Count us in.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to leave even
Off.
earlier.
I'm definitely getting in on that.
No, Jamie too. Don't
Jamie-
Is there
Yes,
a number
Jamie
that
is
somebody
part of
could
the
call?
shenanigans.
Is there a number somebody could call to get in touch with Jim or Jamie or Deb if they want to participate in the shenanigans? Because I think
We're all on Facebook, so please
Contact
reach
us
out
there.
for ongoing shenanigans, and we'll be happy to hook up. It'll be good.
And then let's go right around back to the event. Wednesday night. It gets us all kicking off and going. We're getting the last minute Livingston County voters registered as Democrats, agreeing to that bus trip, Razor Ray playing, free food, drinks, and you know what else we're going to be doing? The Super PAC needs to raise a little money, so we're going to, to help fund these things and these candidates we like and these events to support things, to support the democratic process. This is all really good stuff, and we're going to lead the way.
maybe we should auction off some of this old Jamie Lowell art that we have. I wish I could show this to the audience. These things play out real nice from Jamie Lowell's previous Planet.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. We'll be auctioning off some of that custom Jamie Lowell art.
Some of it might not be.
And then maybe some old bongs.
Some of it might not be appropriate for children, though. You should
No.
probably note that. Yeah.
You got to charge more for the ones with big dicks.
It's nasty, some of it.
So, should we talk for a second about federalism? Frazier? Which Frazier?
Frazier's over here.
How about
Can we just one last